Sears was begun by a guy named Richard Sears. He worked as a railroad clerk in Redwood Falls, Minnesota. A box of gold watches showed up and the local jewelry store refused to take delivery. Mr. Sears looked at those watches and said, I bet you these would be great for people just like me. So he kept the box of jewelry, a box of watches, and he put together a little sheet and he advertised up and down the rail. And next thing you know, he sold them all. So he brought in another box of watches, another box of watches. A couple years later, he teams up with a guy named Roebuck. You've heard of Sears and Roebuck. Roebuck was the actual watchmaker. They moved their operation to Chicago. Mr. Sears was a very entrepreneurial guy. He also, because of his railroad background, looked at the United States of America and saw a rapidly expanding country that also could benefit through rail and a new thing from the United States Postal Service called rural free delivery, where you could get stuff shipped to you. So if you sold your wheat in Kansas and you wanted a product because you had a little bit of money and you wanted something modern from the modern world, but you were in western Kansas, you could now do it through Sears. He grew his empire. At one point had a 526-page catalog. He would sell you everything for the home, including the home, and selling you on credit. Discover Card started with Sears. Insurance, Allstate started with Sears. Think of all the brand names that started with Sears. And what happened to that wonderful company? In the 1920s, they had the biggest building in the world. You thought of the Sears Tower. That was the second time they had the biggest building in the world. The first time was in the 1920s. Rapid distribution. They were the Amazon and the Walmart and the internet of their era. What happened? I think they got too big to fail. I think they got complacent. I think they lost their entrepreneurial edge. They believed that somehow they could do no wrong, and that is when you start to have problems. One of the dealers in this room that we're gonna be talking to later on talked about complacency. When you say, man, we're having a really good year, I don't know if I wanna make a change, that's when you start getting into problems.